term, because expanding to the ninth would take a while. Okay, there is a way we can find just a specific term that we're looking for. Okay, I'm going to show you an example. You just want to be really careful. Here's the formula down here. If you have the binomial expansion of something to the nth power, you can find the kth term. So like if you want the third, this would be the third term. If they want the eighth, this would be the eighth term. Using the following formula. Okay, so notice we do the combination here. So we have our n. Okay, that's your exponent. And here you do k minus 1. So whatever term you're finding, you subtract 1. So if they wanted the third term, you'd do a 2 here, 3 minus 1. If they wanted the 8th term, you'd do 8, 1 minus 1, 7 here. And then times your first term, is what we have here, to the n, which is your exponent, minus, again, this same number, okay, 1 minus, or excuse me, 1 away from the one they're looking for. And then your second term to that power. Now I know that made no sense. So let's do an actual example to see if it will help out. Okay, so we want the 5th term of this sequence, or excuse me, this expansion, x squared plus 3y to the 9th power, just the 5th term. We're not going to expand the whole thing, we just want the 5th term. So again, your top number here is your exponent of 9. The number here is going to be the term you want minus 1. We wanted the 5th term, so we're going to go 5 minus 1 is 4, and we're going to use a 4 here. And the reason for that is in your terms you start with 0, remember. So when you get to the 5th term, you're only up to 4, because 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots. That's why we have to subtract 1, is because we start at 0 when we're expanding. Okay. Next, we take our first term, which in this case is x squared, okay, and we're going to take it to the power of these two subtracted. So your exponent you started with minus the term you're looking for, minus 1, okay, but once you've got these set, you can go off of them. So we go to the 9 minus 4 power times your end term, so 3y, to the, and it would be this power right here, the 4. Again, that's the term you're looking for, minus 1 that goes there. Okay, so we calculate this. Now you can calculate this part by hand. Remember that means 9 factorial over 4 factorial times 9 minus 4 factorial. Or you can use the button on your calculator. Again, it's a button that looks something like this. Depending on your calculator, it may look different. This is what mine looks like. Okay. Either way, whichever way you do that, you should come out with 126 for that front number here. Then we have x squared to the 9 minus 4 would be the 5th power, and 3y to the 4th power. That gives me 126 times x squared to the 5th. You multiply your exponents. That gives us x to the 10th. Here, 3y to the 4th. Now you have to raise both parts to the 4th power. It's multiplied and not added, so we can do that. So we have 3 to the 4th power, okay, which remember means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times itself 4 times, which is 81, and then y to the 4th power. Now we just simplify. We multiply our numbers that are down in front. So 81 times 126 gives me 10,206, and then I had an x to the 10th and a y to the 4th. That would be the 5th term if I were to expand this out. I'm so glad I didn't have to expand the whole thing out just to find that answer. Okay, we're going to do a few more examples. Let's find the 4th term of x squared minus 1/3 to the 8th power. Okay, so again, we're looking for the 4th term. So the first thing I'm going to do before I forget is subtract 1 from that, and I get 3. Okay, so in my term, I have my exponent here was 8 and 3 here. Okay, then you take your first term in the sequence, or excuse me, in your binomial x squared to the 8 minus 3 power, these two subtracted. Then you take the n term, make sure if it's negative, you keep that negative sign with it. Okay, to the, whatever your number is here, that power. And again, this number should be 1 less than the term they're asking for. Okay, let's calculate. So again, you can calculate this 8 taken 3 at a time by hand by calculating this number, or you can use your calculator, 8, and then push your combination button, 3. Either way, you should get 56, okay, for this part. Next, that we would have x squared. 8 minus 3 is 5, so the 5th power, and then negative 1/3 to the 3rd power. Let's simplify a little more. So 56, x squared to the 5th power. Again, you multiply the exponents. That would give you x to the 10th. And negative 1/3 to the 3rd. That means negative 1/3 times itself 3 times. Okay. What you can do is take the top to the 3rd power and the bottom to the 3rd power, or just multiply those out. You will get negative 1/27 on top, negative 1 on bottom, 27. Notice it is negative. And then we go ahead and we simplify. So we multiply 56 times 127. That gives me negative 56 over 27, and then I had an x to the 10. Okay, so again, with that fraction and to the 8th power, I'm glad I didn't have to expand that whole thing to find my answer. Right, let's find the 3rd term of 3x minus y to the 7th power. Again, the first thing I'm going to do is, okay, 3rd term, I subtract 1 from it. Okay, so I want to use 2 in my formula here. On the top here, you go with your exponent, which was 7. And down here, I'm going to put my 2, 1 less than the term they're looking for. We take the first term in our binomial, 3x, and we take it to the 7 minus 2. These numbers subtracted, power. Then we take our n term, which is a negative y. Again, if it's negative, keep that negative, okay? If it works out, it works out, but you need to start having that negative there. To the 2nd power, again, it's going to be the same as your number down here, which is the same as the term you're looking for, minus 1. Let's calculate. So again, the 7th, the 2nd, you can calculate by hand using your factorials. Okay? Or you can use your calculator, the combination button. Either way, you should get 21 for that number. Now let's simplify a bit. So we have 3x, 7 minus 2 would be the 5th power, and then negative y squared. That gives us 21 times the 5th power here. Again, we need to take both parts to the 5th power. So we have 3 to the 5th power, x to the 5th power. And here, negative y squared means negative y times negative y, which would be positive y squared. Simplify a little more. I should have done that in the last step. 3 to the 5th is 243. Okay, then we finish out 21 times 243 gives us 5,103, and then we have an x to the 5th and a y squared. Now notice we started with a negative y. It did turn out to be positive because it was taken to an even power, but you always, just in case you want to, if this 2nd term is negative, put the negative with it. Alright, here we go. We're asked to find the 2nd term of x plus 4 to the 113th power. Now we're so glad we don't have to expand that one fully. Remember, if we want the 2nd term, we take and subtract 1. So we're going to use it using 1 here. So of course we use our exponent of the 113 and then a 1 down here. Then we take our first term, which is an x. We take that 2, we subtract these two, so 113 minus 1. And then we take our 2nd term, which is 4, to this power here, which is 1. All right, so let's calculate, simplify each of these. 113, taken one at a time, simplifies to be 113. This gives me 113 minus 1 gives me x to the 112th power, and then 4 to the first power is just 4. So all I have left to do is to multiply 4 times 113. And 113 times 4 is 452. So I get 452x to the 112th power would be the second term of this expression if we were to expand it.